just to say, stop coming after us. You're not going to get any staggers anymore.
I would have much rather seen that wall use a split point to allow them access to it. And right now, swapping off the Doomfist onto the Soldier, opting for some more long-range damage, but it's really not going to matter, I don't think, in the long run. How much is the Soldier going to be able to do as opposed to what a Doomfist is able to do? Doomfist at least is able to find flank angles to get one-shots on the backline and disrupt the Baptiste or disrupt the Symmetra. You can't do that with the Soldier.
Yeah, but look, they do throw out their bomb. Definitely really needed their mech for this fight. They do have another window up, and look how much security it brings them, forcing their opponents to back up. We see the bomb being thrown. The bomb is going to kind of get tossed into the wall, though, finding out the mech. The rest of the team, they're forced to back up. Quinnipiac, they lose out Firewolf. They're losing their players, and they're not finding ways to kind of break through this choke.
Don't think they can push any further, though. TW doesn't have any more shield to give right there. They're gonna have to back up. You're still gonna have the Soldier pressuring right now, and that's kind of what the Soldier gives. It's this constant pressure, but is it the burst pressure you really need in a composition like this?
We see a beautiful charge come out. Firewolf not going to be alive to help this fight. And, well, the Riptide is going to make sure Mayonnaise follows after. It's a pretty clean and sweep through as we see that teleporter come out. But in the end, it's really only delaying the inevitable, especially another window incredibly built. And, well, basically securing that we are going to see Wichita taking that first point.
Yeah, and I think this is something to keep an eye on for everyone at home is just look at Hanbei when they're playing that Baptiste. Look at their window charge compared to the enemy's window charge. It's going to be generally a lot faster in almost every single matchup I've seen. Even in matchups they've gotten the worst of in terms of score, like they've lost out matchups, still Hanbei was always getting that window up faster and faster and faster, and it was just really impressive to see what they're able to do for this team from the flexible support position, because it's a very pivotal role. It's probably the strongest role in the game currently, and it's looking to be a similar state going into Overwatch 2 as well, which is coming up, is these strong flex supports to have kind of this impact on the game. And so Hanbei demonstrating that right now and really is kind of a shining star for this team.
They are going to be walking out, though, when it comes to Control Center. I love this map. We're going to see who's going to be the first one to fall, though. Quinnipiac, they are the late team in this fight. That does not mean they have losses, though that Fire Strike to the wall is definitely going to hurt, and your shield's going down less to 500, so you have to start backing off. You can't really start to fully engage off of this. Firewolf is having an immense amount of issue just trying to break through. I mean, the moment they get into the fight, the immortality has to be committed. Firewolf is basically taken out, has nothing to protect themselves and the rest of the team. Once you lose your Reinhardt at these times of compositions, well, we know what happens. You start to crumble, and it's gonna have to go back to the spawn room.
Oh, Dampley loses the mech late, however. Luckily does end up losing their life as well. That's gonna mean they're able to kind of reset themselves. If it wasn't the case and they had to spend more time walking to coast, this could have been a potential opportunity to push, but they're going to say it nonetheless. Quinnipiac wants to go in while this D.Va's coming back, but it's been too late. I think the D.Va is already back into White Room.
We see them both using their window. However, it does seem that Wichita, they're going to get more value. The High Noon managing to even it up, find the 2K, but you're still going to fall in the meantime. Meaning that even though those ultimates were absolutely essential and almost brought that back, the Riptide is still going to be able to enable a stagger. And, well, Wichita have more of a reason to push up and regroup.
Yeah, and Fluffy already getting that tire off, and it's going to allow them to continue. It was kind of a late tire. I don't think they expected the 2 kills to come in. It was a 4v4, and they just wanted to secure that fight, so that's all well played. But now, how can they repel this next assault? They have the wall to kind of make it an area they don't want to push into. When you push through a wall, it's like making a choke for yourselves in terms of they just shoot into you as you walk through. And right there you just see it as well. They're walking through chokes themselves. You generally want to avoid that on this map, especially into the Sim Junkrat composition. You're just walking through chokes, you're going to lose people to spam. It's just how it is. You want clean, fast rotations around off rotation angles, like far right, for example, here, or far left if you're the blue side, far right if you're red side. You kind of want those because it's less likely you're going to lose members on the rotation.
And now with Mayonnaise back in this fight, they finally have the room to walk in, but the shatter is massive! Even if they had a chance, not only does a remake, but the bomb, the window, cleans everything up. They're gonna have to rush onto this point, and that's not the best feeling right now.
Yeah, I don't even know if they can touch. Scooty's gonna have to hit a massive rollout. This ball is not gonna be the one to touch. That nerf that came in 5 seconds on the grapple does have some impact right there, as they can't even get the touch through. and that will be Wichita State taking the first round. And again, I think this is the Wichita State we've seen time and time again against teams like Quinnipiac, against other teams that are in this mid-table. They always perform extremely well into them. It's just, how do they perform against higher teams is always been the question. I mean, Quinnipiac right now is 8-6. They've had some tough losses recently, but still, a mid-table team, and Wichita State is definitely doing what they are known to do.
Yeah, and honestly, incredibly impressive so far. Just the execution and the way that they're making sure that nobody's really leaving each other's sight. The times that they die are really just when Quinnipiac managed to, get that pick that they very much need, or Wichita, one of their players is accidentally isolated out, which was not often. However, while Quinnipiac, they seem to have trouble really getting their mentals in, or at least working together. Though we are going to be seeing a swap Firewolf out, just a tad in. I definitely think that's going to be a big change. When we see just a tad in, that means they are switching up their compositions. Sometimes it is still onto that Reinhardt style, but just a tad has always been more versatile than Firewolf. On a map like Hollywood that is following up, I think Quinnipiac, they're looking to try and kind of get back some footing.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for I think the biggest thing in the main tank swap for them, just as ad comes in when they know they aren't going to be 100% playing Reinhardt the entire time. So you're seeing Firewolf on maps like Kings Row, Lijiang, where they're going to be running rush styles the entire time. And I mean, I've liked a lot of what Firewolf has brought to the table for this team, and Just a Tad is not a bad main tank by any means. It's just like I think kind of having this thing where you're having this one player play all the time on these maps, and you're having this other player sit out and want to try these other things, but also still play that Ryan for you, it can get a little confusing sometimes. I'm a big fan of, for a lot of teams to just have 6-man rosters. Obviously in college it's going to be different, and collegiate it's going to be different and all that. But so I think 6-man teams are just like kind of working as a 6-man to perfect kind of the style that meshes well for all 6 of you is the best style for any team. But that is just my personal opinion. A lot of people also have had teams that have success with those different rosters where you're making substitutes, and so definitely not a impossibility, but just a personal preference.
At least for me, if I had to talk about my personal preference, which I don't get too often, I definitely feel at least when it comes down to this scene, I definitely love that Roadhog Sigma. I definitely feel compositions that teams aren't necessarily used to running definitely always work. And, Roadhog compositions in general tend to just make me really happy. Regardless, we are going to be seeing both of these teams hint at something more. We've always seen them sort of improve and go on to the fly, especially both of these teams. I mean, we've seen Quinnipiac and Wichita go out on random ideas. Hollywood is one of those maps, would you say, can lead into snowball? I always feel it's midway. You never truly get that snowball that you're hoping for.
I think it can be a map that can be snowballed very heavily. I mean, here's the thing. Overwatch, every map in the game can be snowballed just because of how Overwatch works with ult economy. Generally, if you win first fight or you win a fight, like let's say there's an ult neutral fight and then you win the fight, generally you're going to have ults to press your advantage next fight, which gets you the other ults you don't have up already and doesn't allow them to get ults because you kill them quick enough with your own ults. Like, that's just generally how Overwatch works. So any map is snowbally enough. So I think Hollywood is one of the less egregious ones, but it's still definitely a snowbally map.
So we're going to have to see how does these compositions lead in, and are any of these teams really going to be able to benefit from it? We do see the high ground go over as, well, Quinnipiac are starting to get that advantage. The damage is falling down onto TW's Wrecking Ball, and unfortunately, you're not going to be able to peel in for your support to get melted down. And that was an incredible push, even if Damply is able to find out Milky Way. They are not in the lead when it comes to this push. Rather, we are going to be seeing Quinnipiac start to take control and, well, ticks on this point.
And so now if you're looking like, okay, where are the opportunities here to potentially snowball? Well, one, you're going to get a ton of ult charge off of Damply's mech, and they're not going to get much back for it. So what you're going to have here coming up, try to rely on your pulse farm to eliminate enemy backline. It's like always a weird thing where it's like, okay, just stick the backline, but okay, I don't think you use it here. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, the fight's still ongoing. Sure, you're having some stall come out. This is pretty good stall. Player actually going to go for the stick. This is turnable technically. If it does come out, the Discord as well, but player should be dead here.
Yeah, look at that, a massive stick, but unfortunately not enough of the team is going to be able to come back in. Player was not allowed basically to stay alive for really as long as we were hoping for. So as this point is going to be able to move, we do see Quinnipiac, they built up their ultimates while their opponents started switching, started trying to slow it down, and now they're not going to be having everything that they need, or rather won, as this fight on the high ground ends up losing to their Zenyatta, lose their Brig, and their Diva, who gets split off, booped off the high ground, has to use their thrusters to basically disengage. It's not the best scenario you're hoping for.
I'm pretty concerned with what I'm seeing right there. You're seeing Hanbei and Treasureling go a little bit too aggressive for what they are able to do right there. They're going to throw a bomb on the high ground. No one is up here. Some odd decisions coming out from both sides, in my opinion, where we're just kind of going back and forth on these things. I mean, that's a really nice stick right there, knowing player doesn't have the recall yet available. Grub trying to learn at high ground. Down by on point, transing. I believe that's also Treasureling with them. The supports here have just kind of been going into the Nether Realm, into Narnia, and just kind of inting a little bit, if you will. It's kind of been interesting to see how they end up in these positions when there's no real reason for them to be.
And now they're stuck fighting inside the saloon. Not the best place when there's a mine stuck outside the car and you're going to be able to push it further. Grub is going to be able to find out Dambly and, well, start going in, not for the spawn camp, but for this stagger cleanup. With the fact that not everybody there on the side of Wichita are fully back, it's not going to be great, because the Dragons goes dead to the middle. They take out the Sombra with him. The supports are stuck onto the right side, though they do have a moment to breathe. It's not looking good. They have to jump onto the point. However, they lose out the Brig. They lose out their Zen. But those who are there and can help are now not going to be possible to be there. Though the Tracer, Pulse Bombs comes in. Player is going to have it. And well, Grub's going to come in, look to just help clean it up. Relative snowball, would you say, as, well, Quinnipiac, they're able to start pushing forward.
This could be a dead Sombra as well. The TP takes them back into the enemy team right there. That's a pretty dangerous area to be in, but no, we're going to be living right there. TP out, never mind, Mayonnaise takes the head right off. And now we're going to see the swap over to Sigma. And that is a snowball. Like, that's the kind of fight where it's like a snowball where you actually snowball yourself in a way because you don't even get a first fight. You kind of just stagger yourself out for the most part. You're just constantly fighting, and that's not going to allow you to get a good reset off. Now, this potentially slows it down for you. The res is going to try to counter that, but now you have the ability to walk up and play your own pace.
Yeah, still a beautiful E to help them be able to get that res. They throw the mines in the back, meaning their opponents are forced to walk in front of them. And they're not fully a unit. It is luckily that Trash is able to build up that rally, give them some form of sustain, but they've lost out their Zenyatta, meaning that the end goal is going to hurt, especially with this Transcendence, allowing them to push forward. TW feels like they need to slow this down in some way possible, placing the mines on top. Unfortunately, as we see, it's just not really going to matter too much. Player is able to benefit from it by finding out Broccoli, but stuck inside their opponent's own black line is just going to end to their own death, and a res for Broccoli.
Yeah, and I think these are kind of the moments or the situations where I feel Wichita, it does struggle a lot. Is there needs to be a tempo reset somewhere in one of these 3 points. It just hasn't happened.
That EMP comes through. However, Cookie is really the only person who's going to be getting anything out of the opponent's EMP. Dambly is on this Sigma, able to hit in with that damage, long range around the shield, behind the shield. No matter what, we got to remember, these primaries, they do ricochet, and it's going to help. However, a little bit far committed. Eats a pulse bomb, though. That's either luck or skill. I never know which one.
No, that's pretty skill. I mean, you know the Tracer. Like, Tracers have a pretty distinct pattern of what they're trying to do on their combos. They're just trying to blink around. That eat was just, I'm gonna eat there no matter what, just because they're trying to clip me and I'm gonna die, or they're pulse bombing me. So that's just kind of like a general thing against Tracers, how you want to play that. But now coming up, you're gonna have Quinnipiac Flux to match it, but the tempo again is just way too fast here with Quinnipiac.
Look at that. We're going to be seeing the Sigma fall through. The Dragons did so much damage, we're not even going to be seeing the rest of the team walk through. However, Milky Way, the bomb, they're not going to be possible. As just a tad is going to slowly fall. Quinnipiac are now losing that pace that they built before, as player continues to go into the backline with the help of TW and clean this fight up.
Yeah, and so they swapped off to this kind of run comp here. They're running Lucio Ana, and generally why you're running a Lucio Ana over a Lucio Bap is just because you need single target sustain onto, but generally you're Reinhardt and you're trying to nano the Reinhardts you go in. I don't know if that's pretty, I think nanoing on the Reinhardt here might be a mistake. I want them to kind of go for maybe a Grub, but they're not even getting an opportunity to do so.
Oh, Grub not going to be able to survive as we see Mayonnaise following up closely after this. Aggression is absolutely amazing as we see once more another chance for that Sigma to steal a play of the game, but that time bait, which was so high before, has been lowered down to 1 minute and 30 less.
And we're finally seeing they're playing, Wichita's playing on their tempo and not on Quinnipiac's. Before, what was happening is Quinnipiac was going before Wichita could get ready, and Wichita got flustered because of it. And now they've kind of been playing off there. This is kind of a difference. You're going to be going EMP with the mines here.
It is good! And as you drop down, that Reinhardt is not going to be able to survive. However, a player is going to lose their pulse bomb a little bit late in. TW still, though, with the mines, have secured the ability of Quinnipiac not being allowed to walk any further. They have no room to touch this point.
Yep, no room to touch this point. Like I said, they're trying to stuff them in the choke right now. That's kind of what you have to do. They have the support ult as well to do so. So this should be a good fight for them, especially with the hack coming down on the Milky Way. That should just be a dead Reinhardt.
Oh, but look at that. The Nano is able to save their life. However, every ultimate and extra is now going down onto the Reinhardt, so Milky Way has to use that Shatter to find out TW while Grubs pops up the high noon, not only taking out the Sombra, but the Zenyatta closely after. That shield is only there as a deterrent, but it's not going to be stopping the rest of Quinnipiac from pushing forward, hoping to get a stagger. TW is going to be coming out with the mines, which is the big point to look at.
Yep, they're going to be kiting back here. You have to just kite back for mines. Mines is win condition. You always got to play for that. The Cassidy is inting right here. You should take them out. Exactly what they do. And now it's time to just mines on the point and get some space.
Look at that. Nobody really able to move in. The hack not going to be lasting forever. We see the bomb get thrown. That's going to help. However, this does look like an almost C9 as they're going to be able to touch back on that point, but at what cost? As the rest of your team have slowly fallen. You do have the healing onto the Monkey and the Nano helping to pump in that damage, but the EMP is making sure that you have nobody you can really jump on top, as well as they're spacing back. Damply's going to be coming up on this. Fluxno built it up incredibly quick. Manages to catch out that Monkey, and Lucio slamming you to the ground. And well, the spawn is just not in your favor anymore. Though Broccoli's able to find out the Wrecking Ball, you're booped, you're knocked, and you're not finding any picks. Mayonnaise crumbling down as well. This is not going to be looking good. It's just a tad. With their mech falling, they have nobody left who can long-term stay on that point, because Grubs is going to get hacked. They're going to be stopped, and well, that payload got really close, but it's not going to be capturing that third point.
Yeah, first 2 points, it was very hard for Wichita to ever get their footing on the thing. It was kind of a mistake it was on mistakes from there, and on second point where they were going way too aggressive for positioning in places where they couldn't. Or their tanks didn't have cooldowns, or their team just wasn't there. I'm watching a Brick Zen try and brawl into different places that they just can't be. And yeah, Brick Zen is a brawling backline. Like, a lot of people don't think about it. Yes, it has a lot of poke applications, but really what it allows you to do is you can just walk in and start like fighting people a lot of the time. But you have to do so when you have cooldowns to do it. When you have the tanks to allow, when your tanks have the ability to allow you to take that space. That wasn't happening on second point, but they kept trying to force it over and over and over again, especially the Transcendence on the point for themselves. Kind of split into third point, and finally they saw off Sigma. They have one fight. One fight is all they need to reset the tempo for themselves, and then once it happens, never again is Quinnipiac allowed to dictate the pace of the fight, and Wichita kind of regains control from there. But man, it was dangerous when they didn't have control, because it didn't look like they were willingly going to reset the tempo themselves. They were willing to just try and just fight it out, and you can't do that. You have to take a second to just go, guys, back up, take these positions, this is where we're holding. And that wasn't happening on second point. If that continued in the third point, it would have been disastrous.
I mean, us staying back and taking your time, never heard of it. Rather, what I'm more paying attention to is these fast compositions. I mean, worst, who needs to worry about regrouping when you have a composition where one player can truly start to help bring this back? And, you know, I was hinting at the Sigma Roadhog beforehand, because it's what Quinnipiac tends to push. We see as Milky Way is deciding to go after those inside the back, and unfortunately is going to lose their life because of it. But Trash still is going to fall down due to Grubs. They're now rushing on top of the point, taking out this Ana incredibly close. No, not going to be able to finish it out, unfortunately enough. But Mayonnaise, Grubs, they're going to be sacrificed regardless. They don't have anybody to continuously touch this point. So as we see the rest of Wichita jump into the back, jump on top of them, and try to collapse, the point's really stuck onto the 2 ticks. They're not being able to kill just a tad. The sustain is absolutely immense, and yet, in the end, you just don't have the pressure to be able to push in. Once you get hacked, it's all over. As Wichita, they're going to be capping this first point.
Yep, gonna be capturing first point right now. A little bit of a friendly bag going over there, and we're gonna be starting to see how the second point ends up. What can they kind of leverage with this pressure they have? And we've talked about this. I mean, if anyone here has been here before for this podcast, I'm usually here with user intel, and I always have the same thing to say. Every time a hog is played, and user intel always has the same rebuttal. I think it's crap. He says, oh, it's funny, it's a meme, it's good, haha. But, I mean, you can try to see, what can Milky Way even do here? Like, what does Milky Way have the option of doing besides trying to hard flank, and then you get discorded, you have a brick in your face with a shield, there's nothing you can do, you get hacked. I mean, Milky Way has no agency over this game on the tank position, which should have some of the most agency on the game. Like, off tank is where you should have the most agency.
And yet, Damply is now demeched. Why? Because Milky Way, alright? That's the point you need to be paying attention to. Though I am incredibly terrified, this Sombra has EMP. They may lose out on their Diva, but that does not inherently mean the point's gonna stop moving. With that Mega Health Pack gone, Grubs is going to fall, but they do get the trade onto TW. The question is, can Fluffy get set up for it? With the Transcendence being popped out, I definitely feel they're enabling themselves to do so, but they're not exactly taking a team fight as a, unit. They're entirely split, one side on the Mega Health Pack, the other side on the cart, but this is now a prime point for that Sombra to set up because we see the Pulse Bomb go through, we see the Slam. They may not even need it, they just managed to win out of pure force.
Yeah, every time the hog hooks, it's now a 5v6, and so... okay, that's not entirely the reason. They're kind of playing this weird style. They have the Lucio Ana, they have this Holic Sig. They're playing... It's very ranked-like, and right now, this composition here for Wichita State, I mean, this balanced state of the game has been for, what, like 2 years, a year and a half, and this has come out on top as the most versatile, strongest comp right now, and it dismantles comps like this, where there's just single targets to pick out over and over and over again.
Look at that. Once more, they're going to be able to start pushing through. We talked about a snowball before, but this is a calculated one, rather, where we're seeing them be able to break down every idea Quinnipiac wants to taste. And now with over 4 minutes to try to push in a couple people, not exactly fully together, as well as, look at that, switches going out. They have ultimates, but how are they going to use them efficiently? Worst.
So, again, we're swapping out to the Winston here. I don't know the effectiveness of that. They're going to Nano Monkey into the backline, but you have both Transcendence and Brigada Rally to kind of counter it out. I mean, Hanbei Transcendence on second point, kind of midway through, and has another one back up. That's kind of insane. But again, that's kind of what I've come to expect from Hanbei. The ultimate charge they gain on these flexes. Look at where they are. They know they can do this because they have these support ults. So they're just going to walk into your backline.
Oh, they don't even care. Just a tad, though, wants to counter out with the flux, but the high noon! Mayonnaise, where were you? On top of the high ground behind them? You're a sneaky ghost, and nonetheless, you managed to save before that could turn bad.
Yeah, and that's kind of the issue with how Hanbei and Trashland have been playing. They played that on second point as well. They're going aggressive with support ults into the backline, not saving them for threats, not saving them for what they need to be saving them for. Like, right there, I would have rather had a Transcendence on the Flux. I don't care if it would have died to high noon anyways. I just want it there instead.
See that Pulse Bomb lightly missed through, but Milky Way was taken out. Trash with this rally is giving them so much room to push in. Now where Fluffy is going to expose themselves. They know the EMP is set up, but what can you do to counter against it? Your Sigma's going to get hacked, but get the Nano to peel in. The EMP a little bit too far away to really take out that sound barrier healing, and well, TW really was hoping that it was going to be gone, as we see just a tad basically pick up what it could have fallen, contesting this point, and poor player not able to recall out. That's going to be another hold.
And I think this could be where we see a hold start coming through. We saw a similar one from Wichita State themselves before. Milky Way should die here, but does have the final, but Hanbei gets the right click straight onto Mayonnaise, and now Milky Way out to dry. Does find a Hanbei, so the push is gonna get stalled out here. But man, that was dangerous for a second, and I think this is something where I can kind of talk about why Wichita State might have some hardship against better opposition, is when their supports go on those aggressive angles like that, they'll get punished a lot better by these higher tier teams, and that way it's Hanbei's effectiveness can be mitigated.
now this is going to be the point where we see them use their own ultimates to try to get that advantage. You know, Wichita, they have 3. They are engaging with this Transcendence, pressure being put onto the Ana, but immediately slept the poor soul. It seems the Flux is going to stop anybody from really trying to help out, wanting to take out that Zenyatta, but getting so much peel and just having the moves to be able to dodge. Mind's placed in the middle of them as the Nano goes through onto Just a Dad, playing that basically mobile tank, able to one-shot with the help of the Ana. Players stop the Wrecking Ball from pushing in, gets slept though. That payload is incredibly close. They're not taking up the person who is just continuously being able to stand until Hamby manages to finish them off. The monkey jumps in, trying to hold it a little bit closer. Don't you dare say anything as we see them officially end it out. That Tracer not able to help stall, eventually gone, and we are going to see Wichita take the map.
Okay, so yeah, we see Wichita's take the map there, and it was a little sloppy at the end there on their attack, and pretty sloppy on the beginning, second point there on their defense, but still, nonetheless, they take away with the dub, up 2-0 now, going into our third map, which will be Ball Sky Industries, I believe, and I think they're looking pretty good in this matchup. They look like they know what they're doing, and I mean, Hanbei has this playstyle which is very risk-reward, and sometimes Hanbei gets punished, and that could just lose team fights for you. And other times Hanbei just plays the fight perfectly, and you get the peel on them, and they just absolutely pop off, and they build 7 transes, and they are just going crazy, right? Those are definitely just 2 options you have. And today, so far, the majority of the time, it's been Hanbei getting that pop-off moment. So, good stuff to Wichita State to kind of facilitate that so far, but we'll see if that can continue.
Yeah, and they're looking incredibly good. Honestly, Wichita managing to keep up that momentum. I think it's Quinnipiac. Though they're finding a bit of stability, the more that these matches go on, it's not to the point where they're managing to overwhelm or take an advantage against their opponent. They're able to definitely hold, and they're doing absolutely a terrific job. But in the end, what is it about Wichita that are like specifically managing to break through the hold? Because I don't know if it's the fact that the supports are staying alive for so long, or that player and the Wrecking Ball are so coordinated.
Yeah, so kind of how they're able to break through there is kind of a combination of a couple things. One, Quinnipiac, their defense is a little, their defensive comp is a little whack. It allows the enemy Wrecking Ball to get in very easily, to get access to backlines and get access to angles very easily to set up the dives. And then, really it is, if you're a Brig Zen, I see a lot of Brig Zens that are, how should I put this? They're very scared to kind of do anything because they think of themselves as, oh, we're supports, we had to stay back. But Brig Zen is one of those backlines that will absolutely just walk into places and just bully people out of positions. They go, this is my area of the map, I want it, it's mine. You can't force them out. It's very hard to force them out. So if you don't do it instantly, they will just outlast you a lot of the time. You put an orb on your Brigitte, they have Inspire, they're packing your Zen, they just aren't dying. If you don't like basically insta kill them. So that's really what Hanbei and Trashel and now Sparky have been trying to do. It's just like, what place does Hanbei want to go? We'll get Hanbei there. And that is sometimes amazing for them. Sometimes it means Hanbei is just absolutely inting their positioning. And that's kind of the juxtaposition of like, what can we do with Hanbei? Is it the Hanbei with the great positioning where it's aggressive enough positioning that gives them angles but also is not going to instantly kill them? Or is it the Hanbei that wants to go uber aggressive and just insta-dies for it?
Well, I think on Volskaya, we're going to have to see which one of those is the answer. Quinnipiac, though, they are running out onto the double shield to bash it. They are immediately scouted. Oh, please, no! Hey!
I'm stunned. Honestly, I'm stunned. I think we've seen a reason why that strategy has fallen off a lot. Is that it's very easy to scout. You just have someone set up and scout out what the enemy composition is, and then you react accordingly. I think one of the biggest reasons why those cheese things worked in the very early stages of Overwatch was people did not utilize information properly, and right there, information is utilized amazingly. Already has mines.
I mean, that was absolutely amazing, and well, the mines are gonna make sure that nobody can break through, and I gotta say, love the confidence using them so early. You're basically gonna be able to rotate them out. I think you're gonna be paying more attention to the fact that how do Quinnipiac break through this now?
How do they break through indeed? I think right now their composition is going to struggle immensely. It relies on Hanzo to get picks to kind of force their way through. And without the picks from Mayonnaise, oh, Fluffy, watch your head. Without the picks from Mayonnaise coming in, it's going to be hard to maneuver themselves. Every time they go into a rotation, they're going to get spammed to all hell and kind of just get engaged on. It's really rough. I mean, you already have a Transcendence here for Hanbei. I mean, it's not looking good.
Yeah, and well, not the best spot that you really want to use that res. Look at that. We see the Transcendence allowing them to be able to walk in, saving everybody who just almost fell. Taking out, well, the Cassidy, the Baptiste. It's going to be a big list as we see Hanbei continue to finish out this fight. Hanbei, whatever you really want to call it. Stop touching me.
You have said a different name 20 times today. This always happens with you. It's the same people every week, too. It's crazy. But yeah, Hanbei is going to be, I have to say it, it's been enough now. We can make it a shtick. It's already kind of a shtick. It's fine.
It is.
It's already kind of a shtick. Now we have ultimates coming up. I think for Grub, you're kind of maybe just going, okay, when they engage on us, I'm fluxing them. It kind of stalls their engage. Mayonnaise is dead though. Moose Pocket isn't enough to survive the soldier barrage of just bullets and rockets coming their way. And now look at this rotation again, and look how much ult charge they're gonna get from this.
Oh, the immortality, able to keep them alive from the pulse bomb. But the 4K bomb is what takes them out. I don't even have a reaction. I am just terrified at what these players are capable of.
Yeah, I mean, it is just incredible what they're doing right now. And it kind of is why this, it kind of just is why this composition here, this double shield comp on the attack, feels really rough into a ball comp right now. Is the amount of spam it can bring out, even if that was like a Hanzo or an Ashe instead of a soldier, same situation still occurs. And now they're like, okay, that's not working, just walk out in the open. Now you're out in the open against this composition. There's even more damage coming through. It's like, you just get frustrated after a certain point.
Oh, that flux. It almost managed to help take them up, but the Zenyatta built up the Transcendence quick enough and is now enabling them to walk on the point. As much as Grubs really wants to stay alive and help out the rest of the team, you are eventually going to be isolated and picked off. With less than a minute and one more chance to be able to touch this point, I wonder, do you really want to hold that high noon?
Yeah, do you really want to hold it? Not really. Now, going and losing their way, it's just rough. It's just a composition that doesn't function well. They're swapping now. They have a monkey. I mean, look what happens when this Winston jumps, gets discorded, and just instantly dies and melts in real time. Look how much health this Winston has, and how much it's gonna lose. Okay, they didn't discord them. Just discord them next time, Hanbei, so my point looks better. Okay?
You don't even need to worry. They are going to take their time, though. Not really walking in. They wait for that visor to come out. And even if they lose out, Hanbei in the back, look at that. They're able to get the 2K bomb. They stop anybody from touching the point. And that Tracer, oh, the poor soul has to go in a 6v1, eventually crumbling through. We are going to be seeing a full hold for Wichita State.
They're not sure how that Winston got as much space as they did, but it kind of gave them maybe an avenue into the point, allowed them to get Hanbei in the back, but not going to matter when the rest of your team is just getting absolutely punched around everywhere else on the map. And now going to attack, you only have one tick to get here to secure it, and worst thing can happen is a tie. So might see some silliness come out. I don't quite know. I generally say play how you practice, and then practice how you want to play, because it kind of reinforces each other. When you practice something and then you play it and then you play that, it reinforces that. If you don't do that here and you just kind of meme around, you never really know how it feels for yourself. Even if it is against a weaker team, you always want to kind of be doing that. So that's why I kind of don't want teams that are like, oh, we're going to win, yada, yada. We're going to play weird things like I've seen other teams do last week, Connecticut. But yeah, I do want to see what their look is.
Well, it's looking pretty fancy, I would say so. We are going to be seeing a basically replica on the side of Quinnipiac of what they were doing before when it comes down to the Bastion. But I'm going to be honest with you, I think Bastion's been in this game for so long, it always gives me mixed feelings. But you do have the teleporting high ground, so it's almost like the back in the day treehouse on Temple of Anubis, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like the treehouse on Temple of Anubis, but a little bit more spread out, a little bit less susceptible to flanks, if you will. Even if there are more obvious flank angles, they can get scouted out and pressured out faster, so it's a little bit safer. But they're not even doing that. They're just sitting on the point. They're gonna have to back up shortly anyways, because when the players start getting around to high ground like they're doing right now, you're gonna have to back up, and now they're trying to cheat. Yeah, this is kind of awkward. This is just really awkward. Look where this Bastion is. It's an awkward spot.
Yeah, they are, they're scouted out. Not the best thing that you want. The Symmetra Milky Way is pushing in with the help of their Sigma. So at least you're denying TW any room to push in. You take over that Mega Health Pack room, and, well, now the Wrecking Ball composition, they're just being coordinated. They're waiting their chance to strike as player gets into a good spot, almost clips out Broccoli, but the healing from the Mercy is more than enough. Unfortunately, Scrubs is not going to be getting any of that. Too many angles for them to focus. Immortality comes in, does not help that res. You get booped out a little. We see as that tick comes close, the Orisa has to be the one to touch, but you got off for a second. The Orisa team has to rotate. Nobody's going to really be able to be there long term. As Wichita, they managed to take the victory and never touch the Bastion.
Yep, they take the victory right there. And that's going to be 3-0 here for Wichita State. And again, it's kind of what we've seen from them in the past against these mid to low table teams. They have been extremely effective. But it's always when it's against, you know, like, let's say an Arlington or a Connecticut. It just seems like there's something not quite there. But so far, it's looking good for them. This is pretty good. There's been some shaky moments, particularly on Hollywood. But besides those, they bounced back and they have cleaned this out pretty nicely.
I would agree. Pretty clean as of now, and honestly, the determination just to be able to break through Wichita, they'll always look so good, and I'm excited to see the more that they do into the future. While Quinnipiac, they definitely did their best, and they're not looking bad. They just got a couple kinks to work out. However, this does mean that we do get a moment just to breathe, see what's coming up next, so don't you go anywhere, because we'll be right back after this break.